I do want to go back to the injuries.
No,
we have to talk about
Yeah.
why. Why
here.
are they happening?
Pontus,
It's like
I'm here.
I want to hear your theories.
Pontus, we need Real Madrid's Champions League winning fitness and fitness coach. Pontus,
team.
he's the best fitness coach in world football. And since we've had Arsenal's fitness coach, I can't remember his name.
He's just doctor, to be fair.
Yeah,
it's just been horrific amount of injuries since then, and he's ruined our football club.
Right, so he's actually not, like, he only recently started. A lot of the injuries happened before he even came into place. But in terms of the injuries, one thing that plays a massive part, players don't recover, and that's partly because we're traveling so much, including across the Atlantic Oceans, the west coast of America.
Last year, that was a big problem.
Yeah, last year it was ridiculous because they had, games starting on like the east coast of America, ending on like the west coast, and like you have to remember, I'm pretty sure the United States of America is like a similar size or bigger than Europe, and we talk about European games like being a pain to recover from Thursday to Sunday. We're having games every few days. So in the space of like 2 weeks, we've flown across America. Even Christian Eriksen said they just can't recover. Like, you can't recover when you're constantly flying or on long coach journeys and stuff. In the Premier League last season, we played so many games. We played so many games the season before that. When you've got that many games and you're traveling that much and you're playing at an intensity that you're not used to playing at because the players are not conditioned for that, then you are going to have injuries. You're going to struggle. So I think the travel is a big part of it. I think Dylan said this, the pitches in America are so bad.
We saw in the Copa America how bad they were as well.
I don't know how we're going to have a World Cup there in 2 years.
They're going to have to sort it out.
They're going to have to because, bro, there is going to be a record number of injuries at the World Cup if that's not sorted out.
Yeah,
but
100%.
the pitch is like, I mean, people are saying, oh, it was real grass on the pitch we played Arsenal on. It was real grass laid on top of Astro, which I'd argue is actually even worse than just playing on Astro, because you've got all the grass like being cut up and slipping around and stuff, and then Astro beneath it. It is actually ridiculous how bad the pitches are there. And this is why people are saying like, oh, United's fitness regimes have always ruined Euro. Bro, he just took I'm pretty sure he just took an awkward step on, a terrible pitch, and that's what's done his metatarsal.
There's nothing that you can put on the medical team with Euro's injury. That's just not necessarily a freak injury, but it's just one of those where it just happens. It's got nothing to do with the load on the muscles. It's got nothing to do with recovery. It's just, you're just unlucky there. Yeah. And Euro, like we said this earlier, he's literally been, I know you tweeted it as well, he's literally only ever been injured for like 3 days in his entire career.
Game.
I know he's 18, so it's not been a lot. But he's been injured for 3 days.
He's played like 55 career matches
in a very physical league as well, by the way.
Yeah.
It's not like he's never played, so he's never had an injury record.
Yeah.
This is his third full season, realistically. Yeah. But I think on a larger point, if we please bin off the US, like going there on pre-season tours.
I agree.
Like last season as well, like I think a part of the reason why we had 8 pre-season games was also financial. That was also a big part of why we had 8 games.
We played 2 games in 2 days.
Yeah.
The week before.
I see a lot of talk about like, that training and stuff. There's a lot of mixed reports, right? Some people say, he's making the players work too hard in training, but then Ten Hag himself is saying we don't train. We're just recovering in training because we don't have enough time between games to properly train. The pre-season's actually too short as well, by the way. We ideally need like a 6-week pre-season, really get into our stride.
Gradually get into it.
Yeah, but we instead have a full week one, so you kind of have to cram it a little bit, and that's not right for the players. But then games are coming every 3 or 4 days at the minute, so you don't have time to recover properly between games. You're playing that many games, you're playing at intensity. And this is not just a United thing, by the way. Klopp and Pep have both spoken about the schedule and about how people don't train. But at the end of the day, I see so many different theories and stuff on Twitter, and I'm like, look, we don't know what's happening in training, truly. Right, we can hear reports here and there. At the end of the day, we're not on the grass, right? We don't know exactly what is going on in those training sessions. And we have to remember, right, that for the last decade or so, these players have not been physically conditioned, right? We have to remember Mourinho, when he came in, he ripped up the sports science department. Now, stuff like, GPS tracking, people complaining about that was a bit silly. Like, it really, I listened to a podcast, the Training Ground Group podcast with Rui Faria, him saying, I'm a sports scientist, I don't like GPS, anyone can look at numbers, I want to see how the players train myself. And that's understandable. And actually, when Faria was here, it wasn't as bad, but he completely ripped up the sports science department. A lot of very necessary departments of the club were not present, and then Solskjaer had to build it back up. But even from it's just not been at a good level. And when we talk about the Glazers and how they've ruined the club, right, it's not just, they've not bought players. No, they've not invested in necessary infrastructure. Look at the facilities at Carrington, they're all bad. Like Jim Ratcliffe saying, we need to build an entire new training ground. That's not for, I want to show fans like I'm doing something. No, we actually need a new training ground. Ronaldo came and said the facilities haven't been changed. Really, a lot of us, myself included, can't put it down to one thing. We don't truly know the cause. Like, we can say this is a factor, this is a factor. We don't truly know what's causing it.
No, but just on that, one of the ways to offset the injury issue, Yusuf, is getting a better quality squad. If you have 30 really quality players that are suited to the system, that are able to reach the demand, because like you said, the demands has jumped up from a Mourinho side, from Ole's side, in terms of the physical output on the pitch.
And that's why Ten Hag, like you said, he wants robust footballers.
Footballers and strength and depth as the squad size. So it's one of those things where the players that we've clearly seen under Mourinho, under Ole, that can't do this demand, they have to go.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about Liverpool for a second, actually, because a lot of time we get compared to them in terms of physical demands, all right? Van Dijk, how many his only injuries were ACL, which is an ACL. Robertson, look at how much running he was doing, how many games a season he was playing. Trent plays a lot of games. Henderson played a lot of games. James Milner played a lot of games. In the midfield now, they've got players who play a lot of games. Mohamed Salah played a lot of games. Sadio Mane played a lot of games. Roberto Firmino played a lot of games. And they're playing games at high intensity, but they were robust players. They could handle that load.
Yeah, and you know what it is as well, Phil? I doubt that Ten Hag has gone from Ajax to Man United and say double or tripled the intensity of training because he feels like, right, Man United need to play a different style of football to Ajax. It's going to be a lot more physically demanding, so in training we need to match that. I doubt he would have done that because he will know himself better that makes no sense. So I highly doubt that the training intensity between Ajax, where he was at Ajax, and Man United is really that different. So a lot of it, I think, does come down to the general, and like you said, the general conditioning of a lot of our players who have been here a while, which is that they just haven't been taken care of. And I have a lot of love for Ole, I really, really do. But one of my criticism with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer when he was at the club was that he just didn't rotate the squad enough. Like, week after week, it was very repetitive.
I'd even say Solskjaer had similar. Sorry to interrupt you. I'd even say Solskjaer had similar issues to Ten Hag in the sense he tried to raise the intensity and players weren't conditioned for it, But I think it was different that Solskjaer, he had us play. There was a lot of long sprints. Ten Hag, it's quite a lot of short, intense sprints. And he actually does an interview where he talks about this. At last season, the number of high intensity sprints went up. But Solskjaer had similar issues when he tried to raise that kind of physical output. Players got injured after playing a lot of games, a long season, all of that. So there's a lot that goes into it.
They don't have the attributes for it. That's what it is.
And another thing, I think the way he physically managed the players was not good. Like Pogba, the injuries he had, Martial, the injuries he had, Rashford as well.
Rashford went through a bit of and he just kept playing. Like Harry Maguire was on painkiller injections at some point.
Victor Lindelof was as well.
Yeah.
Just a conspiracy though, because I know you just mentioned Liverpool, Yusuf. I got a conspiracy that a lot of their players apparently were using asthma pumps, or a lot of percentage of their players had asthma.
Liverpool?
Liverpool Football Club. Because you mentioned, because we're talking about having the exact same squad every single game week, playing a lot of games. Ten Hag kind of does that. He plays the strongest side a lot of the time, and then they falter and get injured. And rotation of footballers is an issue. But Liverpool, I think, offset that with this conspiracy that I'm bringing up now in terms of the asthma pump issue and a lot of their players having asthma. It's something for the cardiovascular system.
A lot of players have been on some kind of PEDs, to be honest.